Here with the one and only Stephen A. Smith. You catch him every day all over the ESPN airwaves. When you look at the NBA, and you do a phenomenal job covering the NBA, and it's never easy, you're ecstatic about this Lakers and this Brooklyn Nets Christmas Day game.
Ecstatic about, not really. I'm ecstatic about the entire NBA season. I think a legitimate argument can be made that this might be the best season we've had in history. Because if you look at it, I can give you 4 to 5 title contenders in the Western Conference alone, and 3 in the East. And so you got 8 different teams that could win a championship, and at least 6 teams capable of knocking a few of them off. So the level of parity that exists in the NBA for this upcoming season, I think is unlike anything we've seen in recent history, and that's what I'm loving about it.
What is it about Russell Westbrook? Now he's coming to the Lakers, being with LeBron and AD and that team right there. What does he bring to the table that people just still aren't seeing about him?
Well, he's ferocious. He's going to speed up the pace because it slowed down significantly with LeBron having the ball in his hands most of the time. He's going to quicken the pace. He can clearly finish at the basket. He's good for 25 a night. He's a ferocious competitor. He got the heart of a lion the whole bit. And, you know, this is the thing about him. He's got to win now. He's been bounced out in the first round for the last 5 years. But in the same breath, we got to look at what he's been around and what he's had to deal with. That last year in Houston came down with COVID, went into the bubble, plus they were ill-equipped to be the Lakers squad. This year he was in the nation's capital. We knew they weren't going anywhere. And so now this is the best situation that he's been in, having had the multitude of teammates that he's had throughout the years, but still having a championship, having eluded him. He's going to be more motivated than ever before. Plus, he's home in L.A., where he's always wanted to be, in front of his home crowd, his home boys, the whole nine. I don't think that we will ever have seen Russell Westbrook more motivated than he will be this season in his career. And when you take all of that into account, combined with the stuff that LeBron has interpreted as people knocking him down, AD with questions about his durability, I mean, I expect them to have a monster season. I think they're going to try to run roughshod against over everybody, and I think it's going to take an elite team to stop them, and I love it.
One thing about you, you've always been vocal about what you stand for and what you're going for, and you look at the Negro Leagues and how imperative that era was of baseball. Now with Major League Baseball incorporating those records into their record books, how imperative is that era of baseball?
Well, it gives you, it illuminates history. First of all, more accurately, and secondly, more prominently. And when you talk about black folks and the kind of things that have assisted in marginalizing us to a significant degree, it's the lack of recognition and notoriety. And anytime you're doing a step like this, it's pointing in the right direction, and I think that's something that's desperately desired by our community, that level of validation, because we had something to do with uplifting Major League Baseball. Remember, it's similar to everything else. If you didn't integrate anything, then you wouldn't have been playing against black athletes. And if you weren't playing against black athletes, you would have never been fully appreciated for being the great leagues that you are. Remember, I was one of the last people to interview the late, great Buck O'Neil, the last Negro League player. He came on my show, quite frankly, many years ago, and he talked about how they filled up total capacity Yankee Stadium. He said people didn't recognize that, and he regretted integrating. So we got to remember that there's a lot of people that feel the same way that he does. So when you make a step like this to show the level of recognition that we so richly deserve, then what you're doing is validating what America is supposed to stand for, which is a gorgeous mosaic inclusive of everybody, not just folks who are white. That's what they're doing, and that's why I appreciate it.
Lastly, how important is black media in our day and time and our space and with everything that's going on and been going on?
Well, black media is always going to be important, because when you're talking about black media, you're talking about people who are going to be in a position to chronicle the plight and the accolades and the adulation and the achievements of black players, black executives, black coaches, et cetera, et cetera. No matter how inclined folks are to tell stories of our people, they're not going to be more inclined than us to tell our story. And so we got to recognize that, we got to appreciate it, and then we got to come together as a people, not just the players with the coaches, even people in the media. We got to uplift one another, help one another as best as we possibly can, because in the end of the day, there's no success without a successor. If you're not lifting people up and helping them get along to ultimately get to where you are, what the hell are you really doing? You really ain't doing a damn thing. And that's really what it comes down to.
Thank you. Spoken truth. Well, the one and only Stephen A. Smith. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.